Good morning, class. My name is Alexander Vasquez. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be discussing government. What government does, and how it does it. First off, why do we care about government? And most of all, why do we care how it does it? Let me tell you why. Government affects us every single second of every single day, ultimately. Right now, we're in class. How many of you all have scholarships or grants? Those were given by the government. To go into detail to how government affects us, like on our every single daily routine, would be, I could go on forever, but it's important to understand that government affects us directly every single day. So the chapter starts off saying how many Americans are angered that the government spends so much of our tax money, yet also our expectations from government are also constantly rise. We want everything to be really neat and really pretty, right? We want everything to run smoothly and be well oiled. Yet when something really bad happens, when a tragedy occurs, we can't help but think, why didn't the government prevent this from happening? And what's second thought afterwards? No, nobody? Our second thought is, what is the government going to do to prevent this from happening earlier? Now, as government constantly grows, keeps growing and growing and growing, Americans fear that as it keeps growing and growing and growing, that it's going to become sloppier and worse in performance. According to the author, though, many of these fears and misunderstandings derive from ignorance, basically. Not about ignorance. Ignorance just towards how government operates and works. Not understanding completely how, they implement laws and regulations and such. With time, government, of course, has dramatically changed a lot. In 1902, the federal, state, and local governments combined spent $1.6 billion, and that's 1902. In 2007, though, like I said, federal, state, and local governments, the amount has dramatically risen to $4.5 billion as of 2007. Each level of government, of course, has its primary responsibilities, but I can't stress enough how important it is to understand that the federal, like, each level of government does not have exclusive responsibility for any major function. In fact, they all blend together and collaborate to make regulations and laws, and they intertwine for a common good, if you will. For example, local governments put their 2 cents in a lot about foreign policy issues. Like I said, it's a collaborative effort, if you will. Let's talk a little about each level of government and what it does. Federal government. Entitlements, programs such as Social Security, Medicare, which are entitled to people by law. Legislation ultimately decides who is eligible and how much they will receive, which is the bigger part of federal spending entitlement. Comes in second is defense. Interest on the national debt comes in on a really high third, which altogether adds up to 89% of all federal spending. The remaining 11% ranges from highway building to foreign aid. State government. State government, aid to local governments, higher education, public welfare, insurance trusts, highways, and interest. Okay, now let's go to local governments. Local governments devoted to providing goods and services, education, building roads, public safety and health programs. Local government spending varies from different states though. Each one of them is proportionate to their needs, and as such, government has grown faster than the state and local government level. The tools of government. The government runs with a variety of tools to, like I said, make sure everything is well balanced, we're all happy. One of them is direct tools, an instrument of government action through which government agencies themselves provide government goods and services. Also, indirect tools, the provision of public goods and services by non-governmental partners through instruments like grants, contracts, regulations, and special tax provisions. Any careful look at what government does really, you have to consider both indirect and direct tools. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that happens every day that we have no idea about, that government does to make us happy, to to make sure everything's really good for us, right? From grants to support lands for colleges, like I mentioned in the beginning of the class, to government contracts, regulations, tax expenditures, which reduce the cost of home ownership. Let's say you have a really good idea. You wholeheartedly you know this is going to be a success, but you don't have any money. Well, the government has loan programs. A lot of stuff we never think about, but really we couldn't live without. The performance of government cannot be directly tied to one specific level, as I said. They all kind of like mesh in and, do it to its good. But within government as a whole. Okay, earlier I did mention that governments are outraged. They say, wait a minute, why is government spending so much money on programs that we don't need, that we could do without? Or, there's a lot of anger and frustration towards government. And I thought it would be really fun for you to check out this link that I found. It's on, I have it here for you. It's on politicaltickerblogs.cnn.com. It's about how much you Americans really trust the government. That would be really neat to check out. I checked it out and I thought it was really interesting how people from around the world have different views and opinions toward this subject. So I really recommend you check it out. Also, I mentioned a lot about grants and grants that the government has for people to either for school or to start a business or anything you might need or live without. There's a really neat website called www.grants.gov. Okay, class, any questions? Alright, thank you for listening. This has been chapter 3, what government does and how it does it. I appreciate your patience, and I'll see you again next week.